What's up? Black men must learn to operate on productivity and improvement rather than acceptance. Now, when you look at a lot of, big leaders in the black community like Martin Luther King, who had the I Have a Dream speech where basically he wants to live in a world where the white boy is equal to the black boy. But I have a lot of disagreements with that because that focuses on us being accepted in a system that was not built for us to even be viewed as a human being. And so when you start looking at everything for what it is, our minds don't need to be, as black men, our minds don't need to be geared on being accepted. They need to be focused on actually improving our own community and creating productivity within our own community rather than just being in the mindset of, oh, as long as we get everything the white person get, we are equal, when in reality that's not what equal really means. Equal just doesn't mean you just get equal opportunity. Equal really means it's equal performance, it's equal, you know um yeah, it's equal performance, it's equal outcomes. And I think that comes more with cultural changes and really separating ourselves and becoming sovereign over our people to a place where we no longer have to focus on being accepted because we're already productive ourselves, we are already prosperous ourselves. So really, a lot of what Martin Luther King was saying was, we just need to be given what the white person is given, and that makes us evil. I mean, that makes us equal, not evil. But another thing we have to look at as well is that we didn't create this system. And as long as you're operating with it within a system that you did not create, you're always gonna get the short end of the stick. You're always gonna get the nobody's going to really care about your problems. We're going to care about the people this country was created for. We're going to focus on their problems and what they need and what they need to get ahead, right? So that's one thing we have to look at. And my thing is that we really need to focus on our own community and building up ourselves. This is why I'm against just being hateful towards another race and just trying to ask for the another race to help us, or reparations, when really, every we have smart people within our community. We're capable within our community. So our minds don't need to be focused on being accepted, right? And oftentimes, more importantly, we don't need to focus on being accepted by our own people, right? Because I'm a black man that wants to be successful and it wants to be somebody. But there's another black man you could easily find who only want to be a thug, who only want to be in the streets, who is super promiscuous, who don't care about having a certain family structure. And if I go and hang around a bunch of those dudes that are like that, I won't be accepted, right? But I don't focus on being accepted by my own community. I focus on what's actually going to help the community and what's productive for the community and what's going to improve the community. So I don't have to operate in me being accepted. I just have to operate in moving the needle forward and moving the needle towards improvement and us actually being productive. And I think that that's a huge problem we oftentimes face, is that, oh, we need the black community to just come together entirely, when in reality, it's always going to be other black people who just don't care, and they're not going to be for what you're trying to do. They're not going to be within your movement a lot of the times, right? So you have to be mentally prepared for that, to not even be accepted by your own people, because you may just think it's just, oh, other races and white people who don't care about you and who aren't going to accept you, when really it's the people who you're around a lot of the times who are not going to accept you. And that usually is going to be black people who aren't even going to accept you, who are going to call you lame, corny, weird, gay, all these type of things, when you have to get out of if you're accepted or not. Get with like-minded people and operate in productivity and improvement. And I think that that is the goal that I'm focused on, and that is the thing that I want to operate more within. It's just hanging out with the guys who are like-minded, and then focusing on improving individually and as a community, and doing stuff in that mentality, rather than trying to convince other dudes who don't accept me. you know don't focus on the people who don't accept you. Don't focus on the people who aren't like-minded, right? Regardless of race, regardless of who they are, regardless of skin color. So that's an important thing to really make known, is that you shouldn't operate. And oftentimes, as a black community, we see a lot of people who really have an identity issue with being black. So they jump to not even be for black people. They rather, be a bootlicker and, you know, be for the white man, or be for a Mexican, or be for an Asian, when really we need more people being for their people. And I think we have a lack of that with black people, because we have a lot of identity issues, and we hate being black a lot of the times, right? So it's going to be even harder for us to support the people who love being black and want to improve our community, right? And I think that there's a lot of people who just don't want to believe this. They want to, live in a reality where they don't think things need to be talked about, or just that passive mentality of, I'm not going to do anything about anything. And that's the problem. We have to have people getting up and doing something about something. And even in my own life, I need to focus more on just being actionable, and not always talking about it, but just being about it, and letting my actions speak for myself, and not always trying to defend myself, but rather letting my actions defend, who I am as a person. And so I just think that that's very important. And black men are very powerful and very capable, but it starts with not hating yourself, and not feeling that you have to be validated by other people in order to be strong, and to create something powerful and something that can cause change. It just really starts with you and other like-minded men, for you to create something special, and for you to create something good, not only for black people, but for everybody. So, yeah. Peace out.